Padre Pio witnessed demons entering homes, homes protected by prayers, images of saints, even holy water. And when people asked how this was possible, he revealed a secret that very few know even today. A detail so simple that most people ignore it, yet so powerful that it transforms any home into an impenetrable spiritual fortress. Have you ever woken up in the middle of the night with an unexplainable feeling of dread? Have you ever felt like something was watching you inside your own home, or noticed that even though you pray every day, your family continues to face conflicts, illnesses, and constant misfortunes? Padre Pio of Pietrelcina, the saint of the stigmata, who fought demons hand to hand throughout his life, discovered why this happens, and the answer goes beyond any prayer or sacred object you know. In the next few minutes, you'll discover the secret that Padre Pio revealed only to his closest spiritual children. A method of protection that he himself used in San Giovanni Rotondo, and that saved thousands of families from devastating spiritual attacks. But I need to warn you. What you're about to hear challenges everything you've been taught about spiritual protection, because it's not just about praying or having blessed objects. It's about understanding how the dark forces really operate and what is the only barrier they cannot cross. The year was 1952 in San Giovanni Rotondo. A desperate woman sought out Padre Pio after her home had become a living hell. Crucifixes were falling from the walls, holy water was evaporating from its containers, and every night her family heard heavy footsteps and voices whispering blasphemies. She had done everything. She had called 3 different priests to bless the house, spread coarse salt in every corner, placed St. Benedict medals on every door. Nothing worked. The terror only increased. When she finished telling her story, Padre Pio remained silent for several long minutes. His piercing eyes seemed to see beyond the physical plane, as witnesses had reported countless times throughout his life. Then he said something that left the woman completely bewildered. Padre Pio didn't ask if she prayed. He didn't ask if she had blessed objects. He asked something she would never expect. Do you allow evil to feed in your home? The woman didn't understand. Allow? How could she be allowing it? She was a devout Catholic and prayed the rosary every day, fasted on Wednesdays and Fridays. How could she be allowing evil to enter? It was then that Padre Pio revealed the secret that would change not only that family's life, but the lives of all who had the privilege to hear this teaching. The saint explained that demons don't need open doors to enter a home. They need something much more subtle and dangerous. They need spiritual food, and this food comes from 3 sources that most people feed every day without realizing it. First source, words filled with hatred, resentment, and slander. Second source, entertainment that glorifies violence, lust, and rebellion against God. Third source, objects and symbols that carry energy contrary to the sacred, even if they seem harmless. Padre Pio was even more specific with that woman. He said, go back to your home and observe 3 things. First, what your family watches on television. Second, what you say about each other and about other people when you are gathered together. Third, what objects you have brought into your home in recent months, especially gifts from people you don't know well. The woman went home and did exactly what Padre Pio commanded. What she discovered terrified her. Every night, her teenage children watched horror movies before bed. During dinner, the entire family gossiped about neighbors and relatives, speaking ill and wishing them failure. And there was a specific object that her sister had brought from a trip, a statuette that she found pretty in an antique market, without knowing that that type of image was used in black magic rituals in certain regions. She removed the statuette immediately and took it to be burned by a priest. She established a strict rule in the house: No movies or programs that brought fear, gratuitous violence, or immoral content. And the most difficult of all, she gathered the family and asked them to make a pact to never speak ill of anyone inside that house again, not even when they were angry. 7 days later, the phenomena stopped completely. Peace returned. The children stopped having nightmares. The husband, who had been suffering from chronic insomnia, began to sleep peacefully again. When the woman returned to thank Padre Pio, he said something even more profound. "You didn't expel the demon from your house, you just stopped feeding him. When there is no more food, he leaves on his own, just like a stray dog that you stop feeding." This story is not a legend. It's documented in the records of the convent of San Giovanni Rotondo, in the testimonies of Cleonis Morcaldi, one of Padre Pio's secretaries who followed this case personally. And this was not an isolated case. Padre Pio applied this same teaching hundreds of times, always with the same impressive result. But there's more, much more. Remember the initial warning? Padre Pio said he saw demons entering homes with prayers, images of saints, and holy water. How is this possible? He explained it this way. Sacred objects are like shields, but if you hold a shield with one hand, and with the other hand you feed the enemy, what good is the shield? Spiritual protection doesn't work like automatic magic. It requires absolute consistency between what you ask of God and how you live within your home. Padre Pio used to say to his spiritual children, "Do you want Saint Michael the Archangel to protect your family? Then stop watching programs that glorify exactly the sins against which Saint Michael fights. Do you want Our Lady to be the queen of your home? Then eliminate everything that is contrary to the purity and holiness that she represents. It's no use praying the rosary at night if during the day you allow the television to pour spiritual poison into the minds of your children." And here is the point that causes the most controversy, but that Padre Pio was never afraid to teach. There are apparently innocent objects that function as portals for negative spiritual influences. He specifically mentioned certain types of art that represent demonic or pagan figures disguised as culture. He mentioned books and magazines that teach occult practices, even if under the guise of self-help. And mainly, he warned about gifts received from people with whom we have enmity or who we know practice witchcraft. A specific case happened in 1958, 2 years before Padre Pio received the stigmata. A businessman from Naples was experiencing inexplicable financial ruin. Everything he touched turned to dust. His once thriving businesses began to crumble for no apparent reason. Doctors found nothing physically wrong with him, but he felt constant exhaustion and a crushing oppression in his chest that suffocated him, especially at night. When he consulted Padre Pio, the saint looked deeply into his eyes and asked, "Who gave you the ring you're wearing?" The man was startled. It was an ancient ring he'd received from a business partner during a trip to Egypt. The partner had told him it was an amulet for prosperity. Padre Pio commanded, "Take it off now and never wear it again. That ring carries a curse spanning generations. Your partner didn't give you a gift, he gave you a chain." The businessman obeyed. He removed the ring right then and there and left it with Padre Pio, who had it exorcised and destroyed. In less than 3 months, the man's businesses had completely recovered. He regained lost contracts, paid off all his debts, and returned to prosperity. But the most impressive thing was the effect on his health. The oppression disappeared. He went back to sleeping normally, and his vital energy returned. This case was documented by Father Gabriel Amorth, the Vatican's most famous exorcist, who deeply studied Padre Pio's teachings on spiritual protection. Amorth confirmed countless times that objects can be vehicles of curses, and that Padre Pio had a supernatural perception to identify when something carried evil energy. But there's an even greater secret that Padre Pio revealed. A secret about invisible doors. He taught that every home has 7 spiritual doors. And I'm not talking about the physical doors. I'm talking about portals that open according to what enters that home through the senses, the words, and the intentions. First door, the eyes of the family, what everyone watches. Second door, the ears of the family, what everyone listens to. Third door, the mouth of the family, what everyone speaks. Fourth door, the hands of the family, what everyone touches and brings inside. Fifth door, the heart of the family, the feelings that are cultivated in the home. Sixth door, the memory of the family, the memories and traumas that are kept alive. Seventh door, the will of the family, the decisions that are made together. Each of these doors can be either open or closed to spiritual forces. And here's the crucial point. It's useless to close 6 doors if one remains wide open. The devil doesn't need all the doors open. He only needs one crack. That's why families who pray together, who have sacred objects, who go to Mass on Sundays, still suffer from oppression and spiritual attacks, because one of those 7 doors remains open. Padre Pio was extremely practical in teaching how to close each door. For the door of the eyes, he said, choose carefully what enters your home through sight. No violent or sensual images, or anything that provokes fear without spiritual purpose. He even went so far as to warn against certain cartoons that ridicule sacred values or present magic and witchcraft as something fun for children. For the door of the ears, Padre Pio recommended special care with music. He said that certain melodies and rhythms are created specifically to stir up the lowest instincts and open doors to spirits of confusion. And he warned, it's not just what you listen to voluntarily, but what you allow to enter your home through radios, televisions, and the conversations of visitors. For the door of the mouth, he was even more strict. Padre Pio taught that words of slander, gossip, blasphemy, and especially curses, even if said in jest, create cracks in a home's protective shield. He recounted that he literally saw, with his spiritual eyes, demonic entities swarming around families who spent the entire day complaining, cursing, and speaking ill of one another. For the door of the hands, the concern was with everything that physically enters the home. Padre Pio recommended blessing all new objects, especially if they were gifts or purchased in unknown places. He said, you don't know where that object has been, who touched it, what kind of energy it absorbed. An object can be a portal. For the door of the heart, he taught about the importance of forgiveness. Padre Pio said constantly, a home where there is harbored resentment is a home where the devil lives comfortably, because hate is his language. When you cultivate bitterness, you invite evil to sit at your table. For the door of memory, he advised about releasing traumas and generational curses. Padre Pio performed specific prayers to break spiritual ties with ancestors who practiced occultism or who died in grave sin without repentance. He taught that certain families carry negative spiritual inheritances that need to be consciously severed through prayer and renunciation. And for the 7th door, that of the will, Padre Pio was categorical. Every family needs to consecrate their home and make the firm decision that that home belongs to Jesus Christ and Our Lady. Not as a symbolic gesture, but as an act of spiritual authority. He taught the prayer of family consecration that I will teach you later on, but there's something that few know, and that Padre Pio revealed only in very specific situations. It has to do with the scent of roses. Thousands of people around the world report smelling the scent of roses when Padre Pio is spiritually present or when a grace has been granted. But few know that there is an opposite side to this. Padre Pio warned about odors that indicate an evil presence, the smell of sulfur, of rot, of smoke with no origin. He taught that if you smell these unexplainable odors inside your home, it's a sign that one of the 7 doors is wide open and needs to be closed immediately. An impressive case happened in 1960 with a family from Germany who traveled specifically to consult Padre Pio. They reported that there was a room in the house where no one could sleep. All the people who tried experienced terrible nightmares and woke up with scratches on their bodies, and there was a persistent smell of mold, even though the room was cleaned and ventilated daily. Padre Pio listened attentively and asked a strange question. "Does anyone in the family collect antiques?" The father confirmed that he had a collection of African masks that he bought at an auction, very old and rare tribal masks. Padre Pio was direct. "Burn all those masks, now. It doesn't matter the financial value. You brought into your home objects that were used in demonic invocation rituals for centuries. Those masks are inhabited." The family was shocked, but obeyed. They burned the entire collection. And they witnessed something terrifying as the masks began to burn. They heard screams coming from the fire. It wasn't just the sound of wood crackling, it was voices. The neighbors heard it too, and they were absolutely terrified. But after everything was reduced to ashes, the room went back to normal. The smell disappeared, the nightmares stopped, and there were never any more scratches. This case is documented in the archives of the ecclesiastical court, which investigated Padre Pio's miracles for his canonization. It's one of the clearest examples of how objects can be portals for demonic manifestations. And Padre Pio had no doubts about it. Now, you might be wondering, is everything dangerous then? How do I know what could enter my home? Padre Pio gave a very simple and practical criterion. He said, ask yourself 3 things about any object, image, book, or entertainment before bringing it into your home. First question, does this glorify something that God condemns? If the answer is yes, don't bring it in. Second question, does this awaken in me or in my family feelings that I wouldn't be able to present before Jesus? If yes, don't bring it in. Third question, would I have the courage to bless this object and ask the Holy Spirit to use it for good? If the answer is no, then it's because there's something wrong. And this object shouldn't be in your home. Using these 3 simple questions, you can filter out 90% of the spiritual portals that people open without realizing it. But Padre Pio went even further. He taught a method of protection that worked like layers of spiritual defense. The first layer is physical protection. Padre Pio recommended having, in each main room of the house, at least one sacred object, a crucifix, an image of Our Lady, holy water, a Saint Benedict medal. But pay attention, it's not enough to just have them. You need to bless these objects and renew the blessing regularly. He said that sacred objects without a blessing are like weapons without ammunition. The second layer is verbal protection. Every family should, according to Padre Pio, say prayers aloud inside the house at least once a day. He explained that prayers that are murmured or only thought about have power. But prayers declared aloud have authority, because you're taking possession of that territory in the name of Christ. The demon needs to hear that he is not welcome there. The third layer is sacramental protection. Padre Pio insisted that every Catholic family should have their house blessed by a priest at least once a year. And in the most serious cases of spiritual infestation, he requested that an exorcist perform specific prayers of liberation. He himself performed hundreds of these blessings throughout his life. The fourth layer, and perhaps the most powerful of all, is protection through the Eucharist. Padre Pio revealed that demons flee in terror from houses where the residents receive communion frequently and live in a state of grace, because the real presence of Christ in the body of the faithful radiates a light that burns the evil spirits. That's why he recommended weekly, if possible, daily, communion. And the fifth layer, the supreme secret, is consecration to the Sacred Heart of Jesus and the Immaculate Heart of Mary. Padre Pio taught a prayer of consecration that, when done with true faith, seals the house with a mantle of protection that no dark force can penetrate. But here's what few people tell you. All these layers only work if the 7 spiritual doors are closed. You can have crucifixes in every room. You can pray the rosary every day. You can go to Mass every Sunday. But if you continue to feed evil through what you watch, what you listen to, what you say, and what you keep in your heart, you're building a fortress with the gates wide open. It's useless. Remember the initial story about the family that was suffering paranormal phenomena. Remember the secret that Padre Pio revealed about stopping the feeding of evil. That's the core of everything. Spiritual protection isn't about doing correct rituals. It's about living in a way that's consistent with the holiness you seek. Padre Pio saw this clearly with his spiritual gifts. He said that when he looked at certain houses, he literally saw walls of light around them. These were the houses of families who lived in grace, who had eliminated spiritual portals, who had consecrated their homes to God. In these places, angels stood guard, and demons did not approach. But when he looked at other houses, even houses of people who called themselves Catholic, he saw darkness. He saw breaches in the walls. He saw evil entities entering and leaving freely. And what caused these breaches? Exactly what he warned about: new television spewing immorality, conversations full of gossip and slander, objects brought from places contaminated spiritually, grudges kept in the heart. There's a specific story that illustrates this perfectly. In 1955, a couple sought out Padre Pio because their marriage was being destroyed. They fought every day. They had lost all love, and they were already thinking about separation. They didn't understand why. Since they were both practicing Catholics, their lives had become a hell. Padre Pio received them together and asked a direct question to the husband. Do you forgive your wife every day before you go to sleep? The man was confused. Forgive what? Padre Pio responded, the hurts of the day, the harsh words, the small failings. Do you forgive her before sleeping? The man admitted that he didn't, that he went to bed stewing in anger, planning how to avenge the offenses of the next day. Then Padre Pio turned to the wife. And you? Do you bless your husband, or do you curse him with your words? The woman confessed that she often wished he would suffer, that he would fail, that he would feel the pain she felt. Padre Pio shook his head sadly. You have opened the 7 doors of your house to the demon, and you still wonder why there's no peace. He then gave a radical instruction. For 30 days, before going to sleep, you will kneel facing each other and ask for forgiveness for all the failings of the day. It doesn't matter who started the fight. It doesn't matter who's right. You will forgive each other and declare aloud, I forgive you, and I ask God to bless you. Do this religiously, without exception, for 30 days. The couple thought it was strange, but they obeyed. In the first few days, it was awkward and forced, but something started to change. The fights lessened, the respect returned. On the 15th day, the husband cried when asking for forgiveness and felt something break inside him. On the 20th day, the wife had a dream where she saw an iron chain breaking apart. On the 30th day, they returned to Padre Pio and told him that love had been reborn, the house had been transformed. Padre Pio explained, "You close the 5th door, the door of the heart. When you close that door, the demon lost his territory in your house, and when he left, the Holy Spirit could enter." Simple as that. This case is recorded in Padre Pio's diaries and was confirmed by the couple themselves in official testimony years later. It's living proof that spiritual protection has much more to do with how we live than with how many rituals we perform. Now, the question you must be asking is, how do I apply all this to my home today? Padre Pio left a step-by-step method that any family can follow. I'm going to tell you exactly how he taught it. First step, conduct a spiritual sweep of your home. Grab a pen and paper and walk through each room, asking the 3 questions Padre Pio taught about each object. Each book, each picture, anything that fails any of the 3 questions must be removed immediately. Do not donate it to anyone. If it's something spiritually contaminated, burn it or destroy it. If it's just something inappropriate but not malignant, donate it to charities that can put it to good use. Second step, make a family covenant about the 7 gateways. Gather the whole family and establish clear rules together about what can and what cannot enter the home. What kind of shows to watch, what kind of music to listen to, what kind of conversations to have, what kind of objects to bring in, and above all, establish a commitment to daily forgiveness before going to bed. Third step, place blessed sacred objects in each main room. A crucifix in the living room and bedrooms, a statue of Our Lady in a prominent place, holy water at the entrance, a Saint Benedict medal on the doors, and if possible, a statue of Saint Michael, the Archangel. Protector against demons in some central location in the home. Fourth step, establish a family prayer routine. It doesn't have to be long. It can just be 5 minutes every day, but out loud, with the whole family together. Padre Pio especially recommended the rosary, but if the family is just starting out, you can start with an Our Father, 3 Hail Marys, and a Glory Be, asking for divine protection over the home. Fifth step, seek sacramental blessing. Invite a priest to bless your home. If there are paranormal phenomena or very strong oppressions, seek out an exorcist priest. Don't be afraid or ashamed. The Church has a specific ministry for this, and Padre Pio strongly encouraged people to seek this help. Sixth step, make the consecration of the family. This is the supreme protection that Padre Pio taught. I'm going to give you the exact prayer he recommended. It should be done with the whole family gathered. Kneeling, if possible, before an image of the Sacred Heart or Our Lady. The prayer is this: Sacred Heart of Jesus and Immaculate Heart of Mary, we consecrate to you, our families and our home. Everything we are and everything we have belongs to you. We enthrone your kingdom in this house. May no dark force have power here, because this territory is sealed with your blood and covered with your mantle. Protect us from all evil. Deliver us from all oppression. And make this home a reflection of heaven on earth. Amen. Padre Pio said that this prayer, when said with sincere faith and followed by a consistent life, creates an impenetrable shield over the home. But be warned, it's not a magic formula. If you make this consecration and then go back to living the same way, feeding the 7 spiritual gateways with garbage, the protection dissolves. Consecration requires a commitment to a holy life. Now, perhaps the most impactful revelation of all, Padre Pio spoke about this only a few times, always with great seriousness. He said that in the end times, the spiritual battle would intensify dramatically, that demons would receive special permission from God to test families, and that only those homes, truly consecrated and protected, would survive the spiritual storm that is coming. Look around you. How many families do you know that are destroying themselves for no apparent reason? How many homes full of fights, addictions, unexplained illnesses, constant misfortunes? Padre Pio said that most of these situations have a spiritual origin. They are direct consequences of doors open to evil. But he also brought hope. He said it's never too late, that no matter how contaminated your home is now, God can purify it instantly if you make the right decisions. He himself witnessed hundreds of cases where families on the verge of total collapse were completely restored by applying these principles of spiritual protection. And there's one more thing that Padre Pio revealed about the future, and that is being fulfilled exactly now. He said that a time would come when the church itself would be attacked from within, where priests would teach false doctrines, where sacraments would be profaned, and that in that time, the only protection would be the prayer of the Rosary in the family and the consecration to the Immaculate Heart of Mary. The families that maintained these two practices would be protected from apostasy and perdition. Look at what's happening today. See how many heresies are being taught, how many empty churches, how many Catholics who don't even know what they believe anymore. Padre Pio saw all this decades before it happened. And he left the remedy, prayer of the Rosary in the family and Marian consecration, simple but powerful. Before I give you the final call, I need to tell you about something that might be happening to you right now. If while you were watching this video, you felt discomfort, a desire to stop, constant distractions, or even anger at the things I'm saying, Padre Pio explained why this happens. When deep spiritual truths are revealed, demons try to prevent people from listening to the end. They do everything to make you turn it off before you apply the knowledge. If you've made it this far, congratulations, you've overcome that first barrier. But the real battle starts now, because it's useless to have heard all this if you don't put it into practice. Knowledge without action is useless, and worse, it's dangerous, because now you know, and knowing, you have responsibility. Padre Pio said that God will hold each person accountable for what they did with the light they received. If you heard these truths and chose to ignore them, your responsibility before God is greater than that of those who never heard them. So I ask you, what are you going to do now? Are you going to continue letting the television pour immorality into your home? Are you going to continue speaking badly about people at the dinner table? Are you going to continue holding grudges in your heart? Are you going to continue bringing into your home objects that you don't even know what history they carry? Or are you going to make the decision to close the 7 gateways and transform your home into a spiritual fortress? The choice is yours. But know that Padre Pio intercedes for all who sincerely seek to protect their families. He promised from heaven that he would especially help those who apply these teachings that he left about spiritual protection. If you happen to catch a whiff of roses in the coming days, know that it's a sign he's near, assisting you in this mission. Padre Pio, in his infinite wisdom and union with Christ, understood that the true spiritual battle is fought within our homes. It's there that souls are either forged or shattered. It's there that families are either shielded or devoured. And it's there that the future of humanity is decided. He used to say, "Show me the inside of a home, and I will tell you what kind of souls will emerge from it. Homes filled with light breed saints. Homes overrun with darkness breed the lost." And today, you have the opportunity to choose. what kind of home yours will be. If everything you've heard so far has touched your heart, if it has stirred within you a desire to protect your family spiritually, there's a way to ensure that these truths keep reaching more people. YouTube offers a feature called Super Thanks, where you can make a voluntary contribution to support this channel. Padre Pio always said, "Those who spread divine truth receive blessings 100-fold." If you feel in your heart that you should contribute, know that every penny will be used to continue bringing these teachings to families who desperately need them. But regardless of whether you contribute financially or not, the most important thing is that you apply these truths. Start today. Right now, do a spiritual sweep of your home. Gather your family and establish the covenant of the 7 doors. Place blessed sacred objects in every room. Establish a prayer routine. Seek sacramental blessings and consecrate your family to the Sacred Heart and the Immaculate Heart. If you do all of this with true faith and real commitment, I guarantee that in 30 days, you will see profound transformations in your home. Peace will return, conflicts will diminish, unexplained illnesses and misfortunes will begin to cease, because you will have closed the doors to evil and opened the doors to God. Padre Pio is interceding for you right now. Believe it. He dedicated his entire life to protecting souls and freeing families from the clutches of demons and even from heaven. He continues this mission. Call upon him. Ask for his intercession. Pray. Padre Pio, protect my family. Teach me to close the doors of evil and open the doors to God in my home, and trust that he will answer. Before we wrap up, I want to know from you, have you noticed any of these signs in your home? Have you felt strange presences, unexplainable odors, a constant oppression? Or have you noticed that even when praying, your family continues to suffer in ways that don't make sense? Tell me in the comments. Share your experience, because you are not alone. Thousands of families are going through the same battle, and when we share these experiences, we strengthen one another in faith. And if you know someone who urgently needs to hear these truths, someone whose home is under spiritual attack, share this video. It could be the difference between the destruction and the restoration of an entire family. Padre Pio always said, "The greatest charity you can do is to save a soul, and saving a soul often starts by freeing a home." May the Sacred Heart of Jesus and the Immaculate Heart of Mary protect you and your family. May Padre Pio intercede for us all. May Saint Michael the Archangel defend us in battle, and may our homes become fortresses of light amidst the darkness of this world. Amen.